let me just check it, because a long time I haven't been doing this, and I feel kind of lost, to be honest. It's quite complicated, and you know, we have a learning curve. So yeah, let's change it to my normal account. Actually, I have a normal YouTube account, which is completely like nothing to do with this. 3 years on China's role in Myanmar civil war. Oh, crazy. And I really get a lot of news here. Let's search for myself, which I'm here. And wow, actually, I'm live. Wow. Okay, sounds good. It's actually good because, and it's funny because I'm streaming here and I'm looking myself in the computer with some lag. Okay, let's see if I can do this. Yeah, I can. Sounds good. Now I should actually find a way to keep it like that. And I should bring myself some kind of microphone for that. Well, for those who don't know, I'm actually in China right now. So today is January 31st, which is my mother's mother, my grandmother from my mother's side. And I've been through so much. I think one of my last videos, which I don't remember actually, I haven't actually opened my channel to see what was my last video, but I think that one of my last videos, I probably talked about me going back to Brazil, taking care of my mom with dementia. At the time I didn't know, or at the time it wasn't exactly like that, but evolved to Alzheimer's. Let me see just if I have audio. Oh yeah, I do. So, and the audio is kind of okay. So it's funny how life changes and you know what's going to unfold, and a long time after, like some time passes, and I should actually try to find some time to watch my older videos. It will be interesting. At that time, when I came back to Brazil, I used to talk to myself. I used to record everything that I was saying, and I would drive every weekend from the city that I was living and working to my mom's, where she used to live with my grandma, and I would drive for 1 hour, 1.5 hours, and during this time I would record myself on my phone talking to myself, and I never heard myself, and I think I actually lost that phone. But anyway, it's a really good kind of therapy. You actually just vent it out. Anyway, so let's go to the updates. Right now, it's January's last day in 24, and then this is fourth month, I guess. October, November, December, January. Yeah, the fourth month. So I'm finishing the fourth month in China. A lot of things happened during these years. I actually recorded a lot of videos during different periods of time, which I haven't had published, and I haven't uploaded because during many times I didn't have the money to have a good internet. I didn't have the time, and my mom's disease evolved, and the Alzheimer's got complicated. I kind of met someone, not met, but like I found someone else in my life. We ended up getting married. I got over 70. If you watch the first videos, you would know that before, as soon as I got back to Brazil, I was quite a lot into my ex, and I found someone else during this time, and we got married. We were married for like 2 years. So yeah, okay, that's the basic thing. Now let's go through. So as you know, I was living in China before. I lived in China for 2 times before. So the first one from August 2015 till August 2017. This was when the Brazilian government gave me a scholarship to come here and study. The second time was in 2018, March or February, I think March. And during the end of the first time and the second time, I broke up with my ex, 70, the Mongolian girl. And at the time, like any other man, I didn't feel the pain because, during these years I've seen a lot of content about this red pill, like men's against women, blah blah blah, all this, and it's to some degree it's true. Especially now that I'm married, I can see that women have an emotional response to things, and men usually most of the times have a rational response to things, which makes sometimes an argument very crazy. It's like something very simple by a woman can be turned into something very, very big, which it shouldn't be, because if it's like a man-to-man conversation, it's like, oh, okay, yeah, whatever. If you don't want to do it, like, fuck you. Or if you want to do it better. If you don't, okay, no, that's it. So, because men and women are different, biology is different, and the hormones and everything, they act different in your body. People will get different responses. So at the time, when I recently broke up with 70, I didn't feel anything. And then later, we kept talking. Even though we broke up, we kept talking as friends. And of course, when you like someone, you wish the person the best, right? Like, we broke up. I didn't cheat on her. She didn't cheat on me. And we just simply broke up because she didn't have what in Chinese we call 安全感, which is the 安全 means like the security, in English you actually have 2 different words for that: security and safety. So she didn't have these 2 feelings, which in Portuguese and Chinese is together. Like, so she didn't have this security and safety feelings like from me, or she didn't have like a good mental health that she could feel that. And I can talk more about that later because of my wife, my recent, like, the person I'm with now, my wife. And okay, let's try to do this. Oh boy, it doesn't work that. Okay, so what happened is, I think she had many problems, as I don't know if I mentioned before. Like, she would fight with her dad, and she would think that her dad was like a very male chauvinist, machist. I don't know how to say it, like a macho guy. In Chinese, we also say that, like a male chauvinist. In Portuguese, we just get that word macho, which means male, like a male. Machismo, you would say. So she would say that her dad was bad and blah blah blah, that her dad would treat her mother wrong, and like, I think she had a lot of these feminist viruses in her mind that actually contaminated her by thinking that a couple, when they fight, you should always take the side of your mother. I also had this idea, and now that I'm married and many things happened, and most of them I didn't contribute, I was actually a victim, but the society doesn't care, because they only want to see that scene. They don't want to see what led to this. They don't care. So men are always blamed. They don't actually care if it's true or not anyway. So she used to have a lot of grudges with her father, 70. Anyway, so when we broke up, I was tired of all these like discussions and things saying that I'm bad, that I'm whatever. Like why? Like, I'm just being myself and you're being yourself. I respect you and I like you for who you are. Why you cannot do the same? Like, why? Then after some time, I don't know why, I start have like these feelings back. Okay, I miss her, I miss our relationship, we lived together and blah blah blah. We had plans to have a family, but I was like immature and so on. And this being immature is very important. Then I started to talk back to her, and I started to maybe like wanting to get back to her, but she was very smart. She is very smart. Whatever, if she's still alive, I don't know. And she tried to figure out, okay, I don't want to live in China anymore because I'm a minority. I'm Mongolian. I'm not actually like ethnically Chinese, and being ethnically a minority in China, it's challenging sometimes. Let's put it this way. It can be challenging, and especially when you have a lot of like prejudice against people. So like, I don't know how it's to be like a minority somewhere, but definitely there is a lot of prejudice from the minority to the majority, and the majority against the minority. So everyone is full of prejudice. But I like to believe that we are all humans, and in the end, if we find the right way, we can all like get together. That's my belief. And then she decided to go to the US, and she actually prospered there. She found a way to make money online and this kind of stuff, and I was really proud of her. And she met a new guy, which I was jealous. And then in the end, she was like, yeah, you're toxic, you're not a good guy, you don't treat me well, you don't respect me, and blah blah blah. And I'm like, I wasn't respected, I wasn't treated well, I was called names, but you can do that and go away with it. It's like amazing, really amazing. Anyway, so we ended up not talking anymore, and I got crazy. Like, she got crazy in the beginning, and I think that women get over it. very quickly, in my opinion. So if you break up with someone, women get over really quickly. Like, they're the ones to take the hit right away. But after they take the hit and they recover, which is very fast in my opinion, they like just move on quickly. They rebound. The rebound from a woman is usually faster than from a good man. And yeah, I'm implying that I'm a good man, I think. And then for me, it took a long time to feel the effects, and then to have a rebound was also like quite a long time. And then I wanted to go back to China. Went back to China in 2018 after I was getting recovered from my late feelings, late effects of the breakup. And during my stay in China from March to December of 2018, I worked here and like many stuff happened. I met other people here. I was in Shenzhen, where I am today. And during this time, I found out that actually my mom had some kind of dementia, and her friends called me. Then I had no other chance, because I'm the only child, other than going back to Brazil and taking care of my mom. And people actually didn't know what she actually had. They did a consultation with a doctor, with a psychiatrist, and he said, yeah, she looks like she has early stage dementia. It's like, you should get the family here to take care of her. And she was alone. And it's funny because she was staying with my grandma and my grandfather. They are divorced since my mom was a little child, who actually raised my mom or her grandparents from her mother's side, which is like my grandma's parents. That's why my mom, it's much closer to her mother's mother. Yeah, my mom is closer to her grandparents from her mother's side, from Mato Grosso, which is a province or state that is close to Bolivia, close to Paraguay. Quite old place. Looks like the far west from the U.S. Pretty much like the TV series Yellowstone. It's funny because if I talked about this many years ago, I wouldn't have a reference. But now this like TV series exists is quite a very easy reference to give. Just like Yellowstone. Big ranches, people killing each other, kind of like different law than the real law. It's like, yeah, that kind of place. And I was born there. I wasn't raised there. I was raised in Rio, which was the Brazil capital until the 50s. After that, moved to center of Brazil in a place called Brasilia. For those who don't know, we're pretty bad in geography. And then my mom was between the two. So my grandfather lives in São Paulo with his new family, which is new, not new. It's like people are already like almost 40 years old, and or actually they're almost 50 years. Yeah, so he lives there for like almost 60 years. I don't know. Yeah, in São Paulo with his other wife and other children. And my mom was doing her PhD in São Paulo University. So she was between like this small town where my grandma lives and the big city, where she was taking the courses and spending time with my grandpa and her stepmother. And during this time, something happened. According to my mom, her stepdad, which is my grandmother's husband, tried to, touch her in her private parts. And she tried to reach my grandma, and my grandma was like, oh my god, you're stealing my husband. Like, that woman is crazy. So that's why I hate my grandmother so much. I do have reasons, many of them, just one. And she had no one. People didn't give a shit. They were like, you're just stressed, you cannot read. She started like, cannot read. She would say some words and she couldn't read. And people were like, you're just stressed, you need to relax, and blah blah blah. And they really didn't care. And they took my mom to a very, very famous researcher and doctor. and a lecturer in the São Paulo University. His name is Renato Anguina, and he gave my mom the wrong diagnosis. So he was treating her for a disease which she didn't have. And the early stages of dementia were not treated, which made her disease to evolve very, very fast. And this really hurts me deeply. Anyway, so this is why I came back. And then, since I was in Brazil the first year in 2019, I was trying to have my work with my father, environmental consulting. And I was trying to create an online business, which I would sell like courses and this like online stuff, ebooks and so on. And why not? And during the weekends, I would go see my mom because she was still like very good taking care of herself. She could take care well of herself, and she just like didn't know what numbers meant. So she would have like $100 in her hand. She would be holding like 110, and she wouldn't know the difference between 110. Sometimes she would have like a clarity moment, and she was like, okay, this is bigger, this is smaller, all right. But most of the time don't. I remember one day she withdrew like 2,000 and she lost that money. Crazy. And the other day, another time, she withdrew a lot of money and she bought like boots, some boots for winter. And like Brazil doesn't have really harsh winters, and she never used those boots. And I'm like, oh my god. When I came back, she was like full of debt. I had to pay her debt. I had to reorganize her money, like what to pay, what not to pay, what pay first. I put some of my money in to help cure her debt, to help end her debt. Anyway, it was not easy. And my mom was staying at my grandma's apartment. She had 2 apartments in the same building. And my grandma was always saying like, oh, you just came here to steal your mother's money. I'm like, man, I just gave up my life to come here and take care of my mom, which you think it's not sick. You think that she's just acting. She's like pretending that she's sick to get people's attention. And you're her mother. And you have the balls to say that your only grandchild gave up his life to take care of your only child just for money. Man, that's sick. That's crazy. That's really hurting. Anyway, then later I found out that my grandma's financial was also bad, even though she got a lot of money for retirement, which basically came from her father, because in Brazil there was a law a long time ago that people from the army, when they retire, when they die, their pension goes to their like spouse. After the spouse dies, go to their daughters. And for many years my grandma would share with her sister. Her sister died, but now she would be recipient of 100% of her father's retirement. I know it's crazy, but that's Brazil. It changed already. So the new people who go to the army, their family are not going to receive that crazy amount of money. Crazy Brazil. That's all because of the war with Paraguay like many years ago, more than 100 years ago. Crazy. Anyway, so what happened is that she was getting this crazy amount of money for Brazil, and she would spend it all like every month, like no money left. And I'm like, oh my god, you live in a small town, you don't have too much expense because you don't go out, you're not always like ordering food. It's like, why you don't have money? So crazy. And I tried to find out, and I actually found out that she was like owing money to many shops in the small town, because they knew she had money and they were like giving her credit, and she would like go there and buy like a few I don't know, like in Chinese it's easy to say, like 20, 30, 6, dozens of thousands. Yeah, I can say that in English. Dozens of thousands of our money, Brazilian money. And like, she didn't have the money to pay, so she would pay in installments, small installments, no interest, but still, like, she would pay like 2,000, 3,000 a month, and like she still had to pay the administration fee for the building. She would still have to pay a lot of stuff, like her health insurance, which in Brazil is expensive, and blah blah blah. She had a stroke, so she didn't walk. So she had three people to work in her house. They would take turns, like one during the day, one during the night, and during the weekend another one to cover the other two, to have a break. So it's crazy. And like, no money, and I'm like, oh, where's the money going? Oh, found out the money is going to pay all that stuff, all that debt. And I tried to talk to these people, and one of them, like a really bitchy and evil person, just called my grandma's friend, which is a very bad person, who in front of my mom just said, "You're pretending to be sick. You're here to steal your mother's money." And I'm like, oh my god, my grandma probably is listening to this woman, because this woman is saying that me and my mom, we're just here to steal my grandma's money. And my grandma, I don't deal with my grandma, like, so she can only say that I'm here to steal my mom's money, and my mom to steal her money. It's like crazy. It's like, then I know that my grandma evicted us from her apartment that she just gave to my mother, but it was not on my mother's name. She just said, "This apartment is for you. You can use. You can live here." And then suddenly, you're like, "Get away get away. Just leave. I don't want you here. This is my apartment. You're forbidden to get in here." And like, our stuff is here. How do I get our stuff? Like, I don't care. Like, I had to call the police and call a lawyer. So like, it was crazy. And my mom is sick. My mom had dementia. It's like, really? Like, your only child has dementia, your only grandchild is taking care of her, even though I was just there during the weekends or during the days that she needed to go to a doctor or something. Because at the time, she could kind of take care of herself. She would take a shower alone, she would go out and visit some relatives. Like, she still could do most of the things. So, and she was like just evicting us. Then I had to stop work, and I had to live off my mom's like retirement money and taking care of her. I was taking care of my mom full time, and I'm glad that I did, because at the time I didn't know, as now I know, because it's like many years later, that my mom's disease would evolve very fast, and she wouldn't be able to walk and like talk so quickly. So during those years, I had to stop working from 2020 to 22. Those 2 years, and I traveled with my mom. Like, we rented a house. We rented a house in downtown. I took my mom to the gym. My mom, I paid a private, how do you say that? I paid a personal trainer for my mom. So my mom had a personal trainer 3 times a week. She would go there, she would exercise. I didn't have money to pay for myself, and I'm like, okay, I'm young, I don't need that. Like, my mom is sick, she actually needs. So she would go there, and she would do exercise and this kind of stuff. It was really cool. And she had a house back in Mato Grosso, in a small town where the university was. The university, she was a professor. And we went there, pick up our stuff, and I tried to like sell the house, but I couldn't sell because my mom is complicated. She bought the house but didn't put the house under her name, so technically the house is not hers, even though by Brazilian law we could do a legal procedure that the house could go under her name, but this takes time and money, which we don't have. So anyway, and she has another house in the capital city of the state, in Cuiabá, that someone is living there for so many years, and she didn't take care of that, which that guy could also do this procedure to put the house under his name. It's like you take someone else's property, and if you live there long enough, you can take that, and the justice can put that under your property, under your name. It's like crazy. Brazil, it's really a communist thing. It's like crazy. Anyway, so tried to do many stuff, but I couldn't, so I just focused on my mom. So we went back to Mato Grosso to pick up our stuff, bring back to São Paulo, because the house she had in the small town that still was her, she was living before, had so many stuff, but the house was made of wood, and there were a lot of termites that were eating up the house. So before I went back to Brazil, when she was still there, she had to rent a small flat for putting her stuff. She had a lot of drawings and paintings, and those are worth money. And then it's like, oh, I want to stop paying rent. Like, this is money drain. I don't wanna drain all this money down. It's like, okay, let's try to save the money. Then I went there, spent a lot of money, but picked up everything, and I stopped paying rent. That was great. So now we have more money to take care of her. So we start traveling, and this was during the COVID pandemic. It was crazy. And during this time, I don't want to talk much into the details, but I start talking to what would be my wife. And then we talked for this 1 year or so. Then, so I start talking to her on October of 2020. And when was February of 22, she just went to Brazil and we got married. And it was very, very hard to adapt, because one thing is like talking online and the other thing is like talking face to face, right? And we just suddenly got married. Then in the beginning was all, as my father likes to say, in beginning it's all flowers and everything's great. But during that time, my wife was like a wild, not beast, like a cat. Like, she would show her claws later, trying to control everything, control money, get my money and my mom's money into her bank account, because this bank account like has some interest, so we should get some interest, and blah blah blah. And I was not making money, and I was very clear that I take care of my mom who is sick and I don't work. So she decided to go to Brazil, because otherwise we couldn't get married. I couldn't come to China. And then she was like, yeah, okay, I just decided to go, then I'm going. I'm like, what? Yeah, I just decided to go to Brazil. I already canceled everything. I already rented my apartment. And I'm like, oh, okay, this is getting real. So, yeah, it was like fucking crazy. But, so my wife is Chinese, but her mother's family, they're all Manchu. Manchu is like a Central Asian ethnicity, just like the Mongolians, who were like horse riding people, and they lived in tents. But the last dynasty of China was the Manchu. That's why they have Manchuria. And these people, they became the last dynasty in China, the Qing dynasty. So the Mongols had a dynasty and the Manchu had a dynasty, like two foreign people. that actually became part of China. And it's funny because the Mongolians still have their language and their culture, even though they're inside of China. And in the province called Inner Mongolia, they still have the traditional Mongolian script, which is vertical. If you don't know, go search. It's really nice. It's based on Arabic. From Arabic to Persian, Persian to Uyghur to Mongolian, Mongolian to Manchu, because the Manchu also have this writing system, vertical. And they actually become so Chinese, they lost their culture, their language. So if you're a Manchu in China, it doesn't mean anything. It's just a name on your ID. Your ID has your ethnicity. So you're Chinese, you're Mongolian, you're Miao, you're whatever ethnicity, your ID will have it. And you're like, Manchu, okay, what does it mean? Nothing. Because you only speak Chinese, you only read Chinese, so it means nothing. So my mother-in-law is Manchu, and my father-in-law is Chinese. But to me, looking at him, is like his facial traits, it's like he's far from Chinese. He looks like Mongolian, like Manchu, like really like North Central China, Central Asia. Anyway, I think that people from North and Northeast, especially from China, they're really mixed. So unless you're someone from Southeast Asia, South China, that went there, you're really like more Central Asian DNA than like. If you live in China long enough, you can see that people are different. People in the north and people in the south are very different. Like people from South China, they look a lot like Southeast Asians. Anyway, so that's it for 37 minutes in some way. So basically that's it. Now I'm married, and my mom, unfortunately, it's in a really bad shape. We took care of her as much as we could at home, with love and care. It was hard, really hard. Sometimes I would lose my temper. People usually don't talk, but one day my mom had her diaper, and one day she just put her hand in the diaper and she took all the poop and like spread herself, and the walls were full of poop. It was tough, but we all do that because we love. I mean, parental love and filial love, I don't know if that's how it's called in English. The love between parents and children, parents, it's like something, at least in Brazil, it's something unbroken, unbreakable. But in China, I think it's quite different, or maybe it's different between people by people. I took my mom to have shower. I gave my mom shower. I would change her diaper. I would clean her. I would feed her. I would do everything. And my wife used to say, "Oh my God, if my parents were like that, I would just give 100% of myself to work and make money, and find someone to take care of them because I couldn't do it." And I'm like, okay. Well, I wish I could make money online, which I tried, but I think that my brain doesn't work, especially because I have attention disorder. So it's like, you want to so much, so bad, but you don't have the discipline and the insights to make it work. So you feel, okay, I should keep doing, keep pushing. And I wish I could, because if I could make really good money online, I probably would still be taking care of my mom, just paying people to help me. Not that I wouldn't do it, just like to help me, like change the diaper so I don't have to change myself. I could like stay home working on the computer, but like someone else changing the diaper, giving the food, but I'm here, I'm checking, I'm controlling. But that didn't happen. Anyway, so what happened was, when my wife went back to Brazil, we lived the first year in this small town where I was living with my mom. We lived in a house and I was growing bees. Yeah, I was growing bees. And then I was not making money from the honey. My wife really, she saw that I was struggling with like making money. We were living with my mom's like pension, like the money was very counted, like we couldn't spend, like everything had the expense where they had to go, so we didn't have a lot of money left. And she was like, okay, yeah, we have to make this like bee business work. And she just helped me like create a bee brand, a honey brand, and we start like making honey. And then sometimes we didn't have honey, then we would buy from someone else and label with our label and sell it as our honey. That's part of the industry, right? But and it was nice. I made some government funded like courses how to raise bees and produce honey and propolis, etc. So it was amazing. But one day we went to São Paulo and I was like, okay, I think that my mom would have a better health treatment in São Paulo. And my wife would feel better because it's a bigger city. There's a lot of Chinese. There's like 300,000 Chinese people in São Paulo city. Or state, I don't know. But I know it's a lot. And I would be like, yeah. I was thinking about this the whole year. The first year, this she arrived in 22. And then one day my mom's doctor said, maybe you should go to São Paulo because in this small town here, we don't have all the resources. I'm like, okay. So I just planned, we moved, and then when I arrived in São Paulo, all the research that I've done, they actually were different from the research. All the information the health insurance gave me was fake, not working. I couldn't get my mom like good doctors. Just to say that São Paulo, actually big cities are worse, much worse than small cities. Especially if you live in a city with like a few 100,000. So it's much better than a capital of a state or something. Depends on the state. It's much better than São Paulo, of course. It's like São Paulo is horrible. It's not safe, it's dangerous, it's expensive. The doctors, the really good ones, are extremely expensive. And the guys from the interior of the state, from like a 500,000 city, 700,000 city, this kind of place, they're as good or sometimes even better than the big city ones. And they are accessible. You can find them, you can book, you can go there, you can have a consultation. And most of the times, even your health insurance covers these guys. I know this because my mom, before we went to São Paulo, we found out she had a tumor in her tummy, so she had to do a surgery. At that time, her brain was not good, but was better than now. And she knew that she had to do the surgery. She really behaved herself. She was really nice. She was cooperating a lot. And I'm like, Mom, you have something, you have to do a surgery, we have to take you to the hospital, you need to stay there. I will be with you all the time. I will sleep in the hospital, I'll be there, don't worry. Then it was good. Then, like, talking about female. So my wife, uh, I think we attract people from our behavior and from how we see the world, the way we communicate. We attract certain types of people. My wife is great. I'm just gonna point out some things that make it complicated. But as any relationship, a friend with a friend, like men with men, women with women, or men with a woman, like it doesn't matter. Like if it's a love relationship or a friendship, any kind of relationship is complicated because you have two people who have different minds. They see the world different, and they talk different, and they feel different. And if they don't know how to communicate, that's bad. And if you have a language barrier, a language difference, it makes even more complicated. So my wife's English is not good. My Chinese is not perfect. And my wife was not willing to learn Portuguese. She's still not. And instead of thinking, okay, my husband is not Chinese, he's a foreigner, which I was not because I was in my country, so she was the foreigner. She should think, okay, my husband is Brazilian and I'm a foreigner, right? Or we are an international couple. Like, maybe if I say something, my husband will understand it in a different way than I do. Maybe if I behave this way, my husband will understand another way. Maybe if I do these things, or the way I see, like I don't need to say anything to my boyfriend in China, but like in Brazil, I have to say, because I have to make sure that the person trusts me, right? Oh my god, I'm wearing some kind of underwear because it's cold. Yeah, it's cold in China. And we had a lot of trouble with like money and this kind of stuff. I don't know if in China it's like that, all of China. I know Japan a little bit. You would give all your money to your wife, and your wife would help you spend the money. Like in Brazil, we're like a free country, so like you have your money, I have my money, so like don't touch. Especially because I see all these marriages where like the men are ripped off. They're like all the money that they build, it's just vanish. Like women just take everything. And in Brazil, it's like worse than the US. And it's like, okay, I don't want to marry like a normal marriage. So in Brazil, you can marriage with like you share everything after marriage, and you don't share anything. So our marriage is like we don't share anything. And she, very smart, she just took all the money into her account. So her account now has a lot of money, and my account has like no money. It's like, why do you keep your money there? Like, because I want. You don't believe me? That's really how women do. I had 18,000 in my bank account, and one day we had a really big fight. And she's like, "You don't love me. You don't love me. Prove that you love me. Give me all your money." And I, stupid, just gave all my money. I had zero in my bank account, and she had like 18,000. And funny fact, that 18,000 is like my whole family, my mother's whole family, just like from her father's side, help put up all this money to help me take care of my mom. And she just took all that money, and I was stupid enough to give to my wife. And we were just like a few months like together into the marriage. And you learn from your mistakes. I don't do that anymore, but I feel so bad, and she couldn't understand. It's like, I'm doing it's right, it's for the family. It's like, fuck the family. Like, if you really love the family and everything, like, first trust your husband, talk to your husband. Second, like, if it's safe with you, why it's not safe with your husband, right? Or my opinion, why you don't have a joint account. That's the best solution. If shit happens, money is split half by half. That's fair. Anyway. And I think that even though you're not cheating your wife or everything, don't share your password, your bank password with your wife. I made the mistake to do it. And one day I woke up and there were quite a few thousands from my bank going to her bank. And I'm like, fuck. That's bad. And I went to talk to her, and she thought she had the right to say that the money was hers. We were married. Like, and she was like helping to take care of the house. And I'm like, me too. Like, I'm taking care of my mom. Before you come here, I told you that I didn't work. I told you that I take care of my mom full time, and you decided to come here. Anyway. But I think that by now, 2 years together, we already got over most of that. Like, I can see that actually my wife is really saving the money, hopefully for the family. And she do spend an awful amount of money in me, like buying clothes for me and this kind of stuff, so I look good for work. Like wear brands, like in Brazil, Tommy Hilfiger is like a good brand. Boss, Hugo Boss is a really good brand. This kind of stuff. So buy all this stuff to look good. So yeah, but it's really bad because the other person control the money and you don't spend the money the way you want. So like, oh, I want to buy a treat for myself. I want to buy like this. Maybe I don't have the money. I have to ask, it's like, why do you want money? So I can see that many husbands in the past used to do that with their women, with their wives. And now, to some degree, my wife does that to me, which is bad. But I keep some money to myself so I can do it. And yeah. But I can understand. So it doesn't matter if it's like husband to wife or wife to husband. If you do that to anyone, to control them and take the freedom out of them, it's bad. And like also another thing for relationship that I can say is like maybe you expect something from someone but you never tell them. So how they know? How do you expect them to know if you didn't tell them? So we had a lot of issues between me and my wife, and she's a really bad communicator. She doesn't know how to say, I want this because of that, and I feel this when you do this, so don't do that. When you say something I don't like. But sometimes we also have to listen to things that we don't like, because life is like that. You cannot overreact. So many times I would fight with her because I was defending my mom. Like, I want to spend money with my mom. If I spend all the money and I get zero money, like, I don't care if I save money or not. It's like my mother. She raised me. She took care of me. She put me in this role. When I had any need, she would find any way. She would get a loan or whatever just to help me. So I should do the same. But she didn't feel that, even though she called my mom her mom, even though she say that she loves my mom. But of course, we all know it's not her mom. Even though I think that to some degree she kind of developed some affection for my mom, of course. But it's like, I like my mother-in-law, really, I do like. I really appreciate my mother-in-law. Even though her Chinese is not good, she speaks like a dialect. And my Chinese is not so good. So if you don't speak standard Chinese, like, it's really hard to talk to me. And but my grandma, my mother-in-law is not my mom. So even though I like her and appreciate her so much, she's not my mom. So if I have to make a choice between my mom and my mother-in-law, guess who I'm gonna choose? Am I wrong? No. So one day I was fighting with my wife. Oh, actually, I was bringing a topic to my wife, and my wife was fighting with me because I talk about that. Like, you don't have the right to talk about that. Like, how can someone have no right to talk about stuff? This is crazy. Anyway, so we had a fight, and she told me to leave the room because the room was hers. Because I was stupid enough to explain to her, because I was too honest, to explain to her how the Brazilian law works. In Brazil, if a woman goes to the police station and lies, saying that someone raped her or beat her, the man goes to jail without any chance to prove that the woman was lying. And then you have to hire a lawyer to try to tell the judge to give you, I don't know how to say in English, we call it habeas corpus. It's like to release you from jail, in the sense that everyone should be innocent until proven wrong. But the Brazilian law protects women so much that you don't have this right, so you would stay in jail. And then you go over the legal course to prove that she was lying, if you could prove, which you who are being accused should provide the proof that you didn't do, which is crazy. So like, I didn't do, like, if she's accusing me, she should prove that I did it, but no, it's like the contrary. So and I just told everything to her because I'm really honest, really open, and all these things were being used against me. So anyway, she was just like, okay, just leave the room, like, I want to divorce and blah blah blah. And I'm like, I don't want to divorce. Like, we just got married like a few months or a year or something. It's like, why divorce? Like, I don't want. I didn't get married to get a divorce. And I remember this one day that we had a fight. I don't remember why. And I was told to leave the room, and I had no place to sleep because we live in a small studio in São Paulo. And my mom had her room, and my wife, instead of cramming all that stuff that we had in our room, so our room will be like full of stuff, and my mom's room would be like kind of more empty, easier to take care of her and stuff. No, she would pack all the stuff in my mom's room. This makes me so angry. Anyway, and it's always the excuse, oh, we don't have too much space. It's like, really? And yeah, mom she doesn't sit, she's always on bed and blah blah blah. And I'm like, okay. I actually swallowed a lot. And then I was sleeping on the floor because there was no other place to sleep. I was sleeping on the floor of the kitchen, living room together area. I had a sleeping bag, so I just was on the sleeping bag, and then suddenly I just see someone with a knife pointing to me and like cursing me and like screaming, and I'm like, what the fuck? Like, all because of money, all because of money. Because I think that I deleted the app, the bank app, from my bank account because I didn't want to transfer money to her account. Instead of like, okay, let's figure out the solution. So no, I'll just point the knife to you. It's like really crazy. And like, I've been through so much. Now things are better. But when you have a relationship with someone from a culture like China, that money is so important. Money means love. Money means appreciation. Money means so many things. And you come from a culture like Brazil, where we don't have money. We do other stuff. We help. We're nice. we listen to other people, we give advices, we invite you to home to hang out together, to eat at home, to blah blah blah, like a more close culture, more family kind of culture. You really had a lot of shit going on between. So if you don't make money, like I was not making money, and your wife, I don't know, pretends that she didn't know, or pretends that, anyway, I don't know, you really will have a lot of trouble. Then I start working, and I didn't earn much. Then she started working, and she got busy, and things improved a lot. But the problem was, like, she started working, but she just gave up her career as like a artist, because she was an artist here in China, and not like famous, but she was like known in the art world in China. She had a name, and she gave up everything to go there with me. Like, okay, nice, but first I didn't say come to Brazil. She decided to come. I just said, okay, if you're coming, okay. I'm not gonna say, yeah, don't come. Like, okay. Then, like, the whole life changed. And yeah, I can understand, like, she would feel that she just gave up a lot to be with me, and I'm like not helping. But my priority, again, taking care of my mother, who was sick. So, and I think that, I don't know if it's my wife or the people from where she's from, the country, that people don't have emotional intelligence to know, okay, maybe my husband is angry, I shouldn't talk to him, or I shouldn't talk about this, or how should I talk about this in another way that doesn't trigger him, right? I do this with her, like with my mom. I do this my whole life, and I see everyone that I know in Brazil doing that, like how to avoid triggering someone, how to talk in a nice way, how to bring that up, like, so people can talk and make them feel better about that, and that makes the problem go away. Anyway, and you invite friends to your home, you would go to your friend's home, visit them, you would go to your family, you would visit your family, you would eat your family during the weekends, blah blah blah, all that. It's like, why not? And the country where my wife comes from, it's completely different, and she didn't have the emotional intelligence to say, okay, we're different, so maybe it's not that my husband doesn't love me, it's not that he doesn't trust me, it's not that he doesn't want to give me the money, or he doesn't work. It's just like there are things that are more important. Yeah, okay, we need to balance this. Okay, honey, I know you love your mom, I know you need to take care of her, but can we find a way to balance, like, taking care of her and working, taking care and making money for the family and saving and blah blah blah. Like, yeah, you're right, but like, no, it's just like, you're not doing it. So I think that many marriages, one of the spouses really needs to stay in the marriage and have a lot of patience. And I'm not saying this because I want to look nice in a YouTube video, but I really figure out that I do have a lot of patience, and I do want this marriage to hold this marriage together, because my God, I've been through so much, and I think that my wife would also say that she's been through like too much, but like most were her choice, like to come and live with us and like marriage a foreign guy, but, and me too, of course, to accept it. But like, I was just being me, and I said, hey, I'm a foreigner, I do speak Chinese, I do understand some of China, but I will never be Chinese, I'll never be 100%, I'll never understand 100%. I was not raised here, I don't speak the language as a native. And it's like, I don't want to. I want to be me, and that's what makes me me. If you liked me before, that's because I was me. Like, I'm a foreigner in China. At the time I was in my country, I was in Brazil, but like now that I'm in China, like I'm a foreigner in China who speaks some Chinese, who likes China, appreciates, but I also know that China has problems like everywhere else, different ones, problems that I don't feel any problem with it. I don't care because they don't affect me, and it's like it's different. I see the world different. Like I see someone and I say, "Oh, that person is rude," and my wife's like, "Yeah, that person is normal," and I'm like, "Oh no, that's rude," right? And it's like, and my wife would talk about my relatives, and it's like, "Oh, that person is rude," and I'm like, "No, they're normal, just like that's the way we are." And like, "Oh my God, you don't talk to that person that much," and I'm like, "Yeah, I don't need. Like, if I talk to them every day, yeah, but like." We're good friends, like we can talk one time a year, one time 5 years. We are still the same people. Like I still love my friend loves me. We're really good friends, like brothers, and don't need to talk every day. Do you have friends? Oh, I don't have friends. Like, how come you have no friends? Oh, I don't like people. Let me. Okay. So people are different. Not just because they're from a different country, but they're from the same country, but they're different. Like this person is social, that person is an introvert, right? So you really have to use your mind to understand that okay, we're from the same country, but we're still a lot of different. But we're from different countries, we're much more different. Not just because of the language, the culture, the upbringing, the values, the morals, but also because of personality traits. Anyway, I talked a lot. I think that since I was talking to my wife before we got married, she was in China and I was in Brazil. I completely forgot about my ex, the 70, which is good, but I think that some of the issues that I also had during the relationship with 70, I had some like bigger ones with my wife. That's, I think, has to do with the kind of person that I attract. And that's okay. You have to be responsible and accept the consequences. You don't have to deal with the problem forever, right? You can finish your problem, end up your problem. Like you can divorce, or you can have a really serious conversation, a new arrangement. You can sit down and talk and establish a new framework for the marriage. Anyway, there are many ways to end up the problem. Not easy sometimes. The easiest one is always to quit. Quitters are not winners. But always, sometimes who says that forgets that sometimes you staying stuck together doesn't mean you're actually gonna win anything. Each case is a different case. So, by that, I just want to say thank you for listening. Leave your questions, I'll try to answer. As always, I will try to be more frequent. My mom now, it's in an elderly place where they're taking care of her in a clinic. They're taking care of her, good care, and I feel very sad every day. I go to bed, I think about my mom. I wake up, I think about my mom, because those years, like 4 or 5 years, I don't know, I was taking care of my mom every day. Have to wake up, check her, take her to shower or give her food or later change her diaper and blah blah blah. And I still wake up and go to sleep, and I feel very sad that I don't have my mom with me, and that she's in an elderly house. This is a really bad decision. Not because the place is bad, no, but it's like because I don't have the power. I feel powerless. I don't have the power to make the money to endure and everything and like get rich so I can afford to have my mom at home, have a nice home, a big home. So the modern world really like enslaves us, really makes us slaves with a salary. So now I'm in China, working for a logistics company, and I'm going back to my country in a few months after I finish training here. Not easy. Not easy. Well, when I'm in China, I really like to have this. It's beverage, like a chocolate way donut. Okay, it's soy milk and like a natural, like cow's milk together beverage flavor with chocolate. And I used to have this when I first came to China. And when life is hard, this is one thing very nice, which is you should grab and hold things that make you feel a little bit more powerful, or remember moments that you feel powerful, so they can help you move on. This is not the best drink actually, since I married my wife and we came here 4 months ago. It's a different experience marrying someone Chinese. So my father-in-law, no, my wife introduced me to a new drink, fully cow's milk chocolate drink from Tianjin, north of China near Beijing. It's called Haohe, which is funny because it translates as good to drink. But this one, even though it's not the best flavor, it's like reminds me of the good times that I had in China, studying Chinese and learning Chinese for the first time, like discovering China. And now it's like discovering this company and have this proposal to go back and be responsible for their operations in my country. So I'll be the country manager. Yeah, it's nice. But I still miss my mom, and the salary is not like not what I used to make when I was in Sao Paulo. I was working, so it's like I used to make more money in Sao Paulo than I'm making now. But everyone says, "Oh, you're just having a training for 6 months, 6-7 months." So it's like, yeah, it's like you're gonna be earning more money than that before you know it, it's like, yeah. But I don't know. It's just like working is nice, people is nice, the company is great. It's a really big company in China, but it's like you have to work every day. You have to be here from 9 to 6, and you have to do stuff, talk to people, train, blah blah blah. It's like not bad, but like you don't have the freedom. Like I want to go spend the day with my mom, I can't. So it's like for now, it is what it is. I'll have at least like a stable income, and I'll definitely save up some money to invest in like internet marketing, like digital marketing, like affiliate programs and this kind of stuff to make money. Have my own structure, my own funnels and everything, and find a stable and good way to automate like all this flow to make money online, and use this opportunity here to meet people and see what other value I can provide for people here and there. Try to take the best out of here for everyone. Anyway, that's what I have for now. I never have it scripted. I never hide. I maybe omit, but I don't hide. So if you ask, I'll probably answer. So leave your comments here, your questions. I'll be happy. Okay, this. I'll be happy too. What? Okay, I'll be happy to answer. So this is the office that is in front of me. This is the view I get from my office. The air quality sucks. It's really bad. Oh god, it's gonna rain. I actually need to get my electric motorbike somewhere because it's going to rain. So they're like demolishing everything. Before here there were some buildings just like that, just like those, and they demolished it in the space of like 4 months. It's like gone. Just like all those buildings. I went there with my wife one day. She came here to have lunch with me, and we went there to see. It's like all being demolished too, you see. They're also demolishing those. So all these buildings here are empty, and they already have like a stamp or something with the character, with the Chinese character for demolish, chai lo, demolish. So they're all going to be demolished. This company here installed a lot of like solar panels. I don't know why they do it, because it's full of dust here. It's like crazy, like so much dust. And like these buildings, there are like office buildings and like lodging for employees. Went there with my wife one day, and we lived that direction. That direction is like downtown. Probably raining there downtown. And that's it. That's Shenzhen, China. Bao'an. This district is called Bao'an. It's really like countryside. Looks like a big city, but actually if you go to downtown, it's completely different. You don't see these old buildings, these like demolishing. Well, that's it. Thank you for watching. I hope to do more, but this takes time. You see, like 1 hour and 20 minutes. I should be working during this time. And at home, I don't like to do it because my wife would listen and she would complain. So, for example, I bought this little vessel, this pot, to put tea. And my wife was like, "Oh my God, you're spending money and blah blah blah." And I'm like, "Man, I just want something to put tea. It's like, why? What's wrong?" It's like it cost me like eight bucks, like 8 RMB. It's like it's not a big deal. But on the other hand, I was having some problems understanding my instructors in the company. They were teaching me like how to work with logistics because that's not my field. And she bought this for 6,000. And I'm like, I don't think I need a translator. And in China, you can buy something and return within 7 days if you don't like. You don't need to give a reason. If you bought the insurance, you can, like, in 7 days just return and get your money back. And I'm like, I don't like this. I don't want, like, no, you need, and like, how are you gonna do? You need to understand, and blah blah blah. And like, we end up with 6,000 piece of crap that I don't actually use that much. Doesn't translate well. Google translates far better, and even though it's not precise, like far better than this. Anyway, like crazy things, how someone sees the world and see what is like important or not. Yeah, I'll try to get up to you guys more times. It was great to see you guys. I hope that we can see each other again. I'm doing well. I'm fine. My mom is fine. Unfortunately, the Alzheimer's now, it's like quite severe. My wife is fine. Everything's fine. 70, I don't know. I really don't want to know. I hope she's fine somewhere. God may have her in his watch and whatever. So guys, thanks for having me. Bye bye.